So we are looking at some more linear inequalities, and we're looking at compound inequalities. Okay, a compound inequality is formed by joining two inequalities. Our goal, I want you to underline that sentence when you print this out. Our goal is to get x in the middle by itself. Okay, they're super easy to graph because all you have to remember, if x is in the middle, what you can do is color or shade in the middle, like we did when we had these just to graph. Okay, so if I looked at these, all right, there's really no difference in these except for you've got two inequalities. Okay, so when you have those two inequalities, what you can do is say, all right, I want x in the middle by itself. Okay, so what you want to do is what's with the x in the middle of that positive 5. So to get rid of it, you have a negative 5. Now normally we just do that. We just have two sides. But for a compound inequality, you have three sides. So we would get 2 is less than x is less than, what is that, 6. Okay. And now, as long as your x is in the middle, okay, you just color in the middle. So let me extend my number line just a little bit. Okay. So if x is in the middle, I color in the middle of those two numbers. So I'm color in between 2 and 6. And since they're both just less thans, no bars underneath, they both get parentheses. And so there's my answer. My answer is I shaded from 2 to 6. Okay. These are easy. Alright, so let's do this one. Again, I got two inequalities. I want to get x in the middle by itself. So the first thing I need to do is get rid of that negative 3. So I'm going to add 3, and remember you got three sides to add it to. Alright, so I end up with a 6 here, and 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay, here. And then to get the x by itself, you would divide by 4. So I'm dividing these by 4. Okay, so that doesn't go, so I just need to reduce it to 3/2. And that doesn't go, so reduce it to 11/2. Okay, now you might be looking at that answer and looking at your number line and going, well, I don't know where those numbers are. Alright, we'll divide it out. How many times is 2 going to 3? Goes 1 with 1 left over, so that's really like 1/2. And then do the same thing. How many times is 2 going to 11? Well, it goes 5 times with 1 left over, so 5/2. 5/2. Not what I wrote. And that makes it a little bit easier, okay, to graph. So I want to be in between 1.5, which would be maybe here, and then 5/2, which is going to be here. There's where I shade. Okay. Now, brackets and parentheses. So this one, because it has the bar, gets a bracket. And this one doesn't, so it gets a parenthesis. So my answer right there would be, I'm going to switch it back to fractions, 3/2 to 11/2. If you wanted to keep it in your decimals, I'm fine with that. 1.5 to 5.5. It's really your preference. Okay. And then the last one. All right, what do we see in this one? Okay, immediately we see a fraction, so let's clear it. The only denominator I see is 2, so my common denominator is 2. Everybody's going to get it. Alright, we only had one fraction, so there's one place to cancel out. How many times is 2 going to 2? 1. Alright, so multiply them up. Negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. X times 1 is x. Minus 4 times 2 is 8. It's less than 3 times 2, which is 6. Okay, so again, I can't stress it enough. Fractions are ugly. The minute you see them, circle denominators, clear them out. Alright, I want to get the x in the middle by itself. So what's the only thing in the middle with the x? The negative 8. So how do you get rid of it? Add it. So let's add it to all three sides. So I get a negative 4 is less than or equal to x is less than 14. Well, this number line's not going to cover it. Let's just say, alright, let's extend it out and say that's 14 right there. So I'm going to color in the middle of negative 4 and 14. Alright, so negative 4, because of that bar, is going to get a bracket. 14, going to get a parenthesis. So my answer is I start shading at negative 4 and I stop at 14. Alright, go try your homework.